All right. And with my many housekeeping notes out of the way, I am so happy to hand it over to Matt Daniel. Matt, thank you so much for leading the session today.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you all for being here. Really excited to get the chance to talk to you all today and certainly have the opportunity to follow up with any questions. So today, the discussion is going to be about don't let hackers crash your busy season, an IT playbook for CPAs. Just to give a little background on myself, or actually before we do that, let me go through kind of an agenda so you see where we're heading. Everybody likes to see the roadmap of where we're heading. So I'm going to go through a little introduction of myself and my company so you know who I am, why I'm here. We're going to go through a little bit of why is cybersecurity important? Why is this a topic that we need to focus on? I'm going to share a couple of CPA tech horror stories, some clients that before they were clients, some issues that happened, um, and walk through those, what those mean, and how they could have been fixed to begin with. I'm also going to give you 5 quick wins. I'm going to call it a survival kit for you. Quick takeaways that you can make sure are done at your firm. I'm also at the end going to give you a self-assessment that's going to be something you can either ask your IT provider or stuff for you to be able to check to make sure things are going the right direction for you. And then, as Nicole said, that we'll have a little bit of Q&A time. So quickly, I am Matt Daniel. I'm the founder and CEO of All in IT. My background, I am an Aggie. Any other fellow Aggies? We obviously, this is a great season in football to be an Aggie. But for y'all to also understand, like my background has a little bit of accounting in it. When I first went to A&M, I actually was an accounting major. By my junior level course, they properly weeded me out, and I didn't need to be doing that. However, it has given me a better understanding of accounting and finance, and certainly amongst my industry. A lot of my peer group doesn't really understand their profit and loss and their balance sheet and maybe what the difference between the two are. So I at least understand the importance. And the other thing about it, right, with accountants, y'all are very close to what IT services, what we do. We are a service provider. We do reviews with customers. We're having to educate them. There is a lot of changes from year to year on compliance things. So it's one reason that I love working with CPA accountants and financial services. Also, just some of my technical background, professional. I was an IT director for 15 years for a retail chain. We started at 25 stores, grew to 110 locations across 8 states. I started All in IT in 2018, so 7 years ago. So I have a good background in business and just overall technology, obviously. All in IT, we are an EOS company, so we are focused on goals, focused on getting everybody on the same page. You can see just here's our 5 company values. Also love showing my team. It is more than just myself here at All in IT. We have a good team and actually we do have one new team member that's not on the slide yet, so I need to add him. But we do have a robust team. We are based out in Katy, but we serve all over Houston and actually in Dallas as well. So as Nicole mentioned, if there's any feedback, please use the chat function. I may not see it during the meeting. If it's something more important, Nicole's going to stop me. But otherwise, we will have some Q&A time at the very end. So one thing I do love to ask, right, is from CPAs and accountants, like what is the IT issue that drives you the craziest, especially during tax season, right? You can certainly put some of those items in chat. I do have a couple things that I commonly hear, right? Your printer jamming up is a big frustration, right? Your slow internet, really slow internet, slow software, really anything slow, right? Slowness during tax season feels like it's even slower than normal, right? It seems like everything is slowing down enough. You have deadlines, you have to move quickly. getting locked out of an account, right? If there was some kind of cyber issue, it certainly feels higher tension, higher during tax season. Email scams, we hear that certainly a lot, and we're going to talk through some of those. And we'll close with, again, really anything slow is going to be a frustration for y'all. Certainly doing managed IT services like we do, it is about being proactive and making sure that you're always up and running and that you're efficient in everything is happening without having to call us. We just also happen to be available for calls whenever stuff happens out of that uh, proactive time. So let's first answer the question, why is cybersecurity important? So I like sharing a few statistics. You will get this slide deck. I also like being able to show links to the articles where this stuff. So this is not just a statistic that Matt is pulling out of Google or ChatGPT or somewhere. I want to give you some real data, right? So 46% of all cyber breaches impact businesses fewer than 1,000 employees, right? A lot of smaller businesses think they're too small to have to worry about cyber issues. That really is a fallacy. It actually is companies smaller than 1,000 employees are focused on more than the larger firms nowadays, right? And a lot of that is because you have less of the tools. It's more likely you're not going to have the right tools in place to prevent stuff. It's less likely you're going to be making the changes and asking yourself the hard questions on how to prevent these cyber breaches. Also, a recent study shows that 79% of small businesses have experienced at least one cyber attack in the last 5 years. Again, 64% of small businesses don't believe they're even attractive for a target, right? So again, cybersecurity is super important for all small businesses. You're even more important because you have that PII data, right? You have that credit card information, the social security numbers, you have that stuff that not only if hackers get to your client's data for that, then it can get into other parts of their data. And lastly, right, the last statistic here that in 2025, 1 in 3 small businesses was hit by a successful cyber attack in the past year, right? And 1 of 5 of those said that they would go out of business if the damage cost was as little as $10,000. Now, when you look at this link later, you will see that the average cost of a cyber event is more than $60,000, right? So one of the questions whenever you have to ask yourself about is cybersecurity important is, right, certainly what is the cost of downtime and what does that mean to you? And if that downtime went a couple weeks or months, what would that look like? The other thing that I like to highlight when we talk about cybersecurity, a lot of times people in IT are doing these presentations, but I do want to highlight cybersecurity is a company issue. It is not only an IT issue. If you are either working with an IT team, external, or you have somebody internally that's focused on that, it is not just for them to worry about, right? One of the problems is, right, that 95% of breaches involve human error, right? So putting the right kind of tools, the right kind of education in place to prevent these issues is a large part of that. So let me go through, and I'm going to explain a couple of issues that we've seen. The first one I'm going to go through, I've seen a couple times. Then I'm going to give a bigger story of a CPA firm that actually here in the Houston area that was a client of ours. They actually were just recently acquired, but I'm going to go through and kind of share a story that happened with them and give you all the real world effect of what happens on these kind of things. So the two things we're going to go through, first of all, we're going to go through a phishing, email compromise, and ACH payment issue. Again, that's the one that we've unfortunately been a part of 2 or 3 times. That is probably the most common one that we get firms coming to us saying, this happened once, can you help prevent this so this never happens to us again? The second one is it was a merger acquisition that quickly followed with ransomware. Again, I'll get into the details of this, what happened and how to prevent it. So on the phishing email compromise ACH payment, let me just explain the overall process. I want to make sure you understand what that looks like, what the whole process is, what this means. I try not to get too technical, but I do want to use the right terms. So somebody in your company would get a phishing email, right? This is going to provide the credentials to the remote actor to be able to get in. That is going to be some kind of email that's going to have them looks like log in to whatever your email, if it's Office 365, is it Yahoo or Google, excuse me, be able to get those credentials, right? At that point, they have the credentials. Now the email is compromised. What happens is the remote actors will sit there and watch that email now, and they'll set up rules that will hide emails from you, but that they'll be able to see as they come in, and they can do responses that, again, that you're not seeing. So the common thing that happens is that remote actor then sends an email from that now compromised account, which is a real account, for ACH payment updates, right? Oh, hey, our ACH has changed. Please pay this. Now, this is something that's been around a while, and a lot of companies now, and we certainly advise them, make sure you're having phone calls with people that you know that have the authority to make these changes or actually sending these. Make sure that's a phone call, even a video call or in person or better. With the use of AI, these kind of things are getting harder and harder to see. So after that ACH payment is updated to now the wrong information, right? Now that client's paying the invoice, it's going to the wrong spot, right? And now at some point, normally when we're brought in is because now the actual user is emailing their client, hey, we had sent you an invoice, you never paid it. And this happened 2 months ago to a client of ours that the invoice that wasn't paid was $320,000. They called their client, hey, why haven't you paid this? And they said, what are you talking about? We paid it to the new ACH account that you told us about. And they're like, what are you talking about? To make a long story short, they ended up having to split the bill, right? You also don't want to damage your relationship with your client. Now, all of a sudden, there's this big invoice. To their perspective, they paid it. Your perspective, they didn't. Well, our now client did meet in the middle with that client, with their client of that client of theirs, to split that cost and to split that. That's still, I don't know about you, but being able to swallow $160,000 is not an easy thing to take that cost and make that go away, which it really doesn't, right? So I did let me move this out of the way. Sorry. I did want to show kind of a diagram here of what normally happens and what happens in a breach, right? So on a normal invoice sent and payment, right, this is what we want to happen, right? The invoice is sent, it goes through the email system to your end user, they get it, it works well. Now they're going to send the transaction through their bank over to you, and it's going to come to you. That's what should happen. That's what we all want to happen. That's why we have businesses. That's why we work in businesses, for those transactions to happen. When a compromise happens, it's a little bit different, right? And it gets sloppy. So this remote actor in the bottom left, he or she sends an email that's going to go, let's say, to you. That's, again, going to compromise your account. In that, the keys to the kingdom, being your passwords. They're going to get that. Now they have access into the email system. which is going to now allow this remote actor to send an email that makes it look like it came from you, right? Going to now your customer. And then now when that money is sent, it's going to the wrong place. And really, a lot of what these remote actors, what they think they're doing is attacking cyber insurance policies. They think that, oh, this business is probably going to have this policy. It's only $100,000, $200,000. I don't know about y'all, but $200,000 out of my business would be crippling, right? It wouldn't shut me down, but it would be painful. If you don't have cyber insurance, you don't have the protection, then obviously that's straight off the bottom line. So what I wanted to do was kind of go through some examples of what bad emails look like. I want to make sure to kind of educate here a little bit of what should I be looking for, right? So let's first, before we look at examples, let's look at the highlights of what do phishing bad emails look like, right? So the email displayed and the actual email address aren't going to match. And I'll show an example of that here in a minute. The punctuation and grammar is going to be off, right? Again, that's getting a lot better with AI and AI tools. So you're going to see them harder and harder to catch based on grammar and punctuation, but still certainly look for that. It's a common thing that especially if it's $1,000 or more, right? There should be commas in the numbers. If commas aren't showing up, that's another sign. If the email is urgent or threatening, hey, we need you to follow up on this immediately, right? If you don't do this, your account's going to be canceled. Things like that are certainly signs of phishing and someone they're trying to get involved in that transaction. Also, if you scroll over the links, you're going to see that the website you think the link is going to is not actually going to that. So knowing how to scroll over in your emails and seeing where is this site really going to. The other option is having DNS filtering or website filtering in place that helps if emails are clicked that are going to bad sites, can block them also as another prevention tool. So let me go through a few examples and kind of walk through. I have 4 examples here of if they are bad or good, right? So this first one, you can see that is sent to Mr. John Doe, and it's an electronic fund request, right? And it's following up on the calculation of your financial fiscal activity. We have determined you're eligible for a tax refund. So quickly here, right, you can see a refund can be delayed for a variety of reasons, right? But trying to get you to do something quickly, right? If it's not something you asked for, it's probably not a good email, right? This is clearly a bad email. This is a phishing attempt. They want you to click on this. They're going to try to get those credentials to then be able to phish you, be able to have the business email compromise. Here's our second example, right? This is hey, urgent, increase your mailbox storage limit, right? It doesn't say anything about your actual storage limit. Because it has the word urgent in there, you have to do this in the next 72 hours. You can also see that this came from a webmaster.com, but it's sending you a link over to something over at plop.co, right? Again, that's a sign of if the link of where you're going does not match who it's sending it, is a good thing for you to say, hey, this is not, this is a phishing link, this is bad stuff. Our third example is an electronic banking statement is available, right? Simply, hey, your account is ready for review. Log in to check it out. You can see there is no links, right, that are going to it. It has a phone number. This is a good email, right? It is clearly from our RCA bank. That's also who it's from at the bottom. There's nothing in this email that looks off to me. But if you were concerned by it, you could still call your banker, log into your banking system without using any link from the site to know that it's a good thing to still use. Our fourth example is a security breach email. Again, right? Already seeing immediate action required. Hopefully that's already going off in your mind that, oh, it's something kind of urgent. It's probably phishing. And certainly this one is as well, right? They're trying to rest assured that our highest priority is to safeguard and protect you, but hey, we need you to do this within 48 hours, it continues, right? So this is a third phishing. So 3 of the 4 of those were phishing examples. As I was preparing and finishing off this presentation, very interesting. Yesterday, I wanted to show y'all an email that I got. Now, internally, we use Office 365 for our email. I do have a Google account for some old personal stuff. I really don't use it very much, but I got this email yesterday. You can see it was sent to me. It was yesterday afternoon, right? And when I looked at it from my phone, I was extremely concerned. A new recovery email has been added. That is clearly not me. Man, at the bottom, I look, oh, look, it's going to myaccount.google.com, recovery email. That looks accurate. Then all of a sudden, I started looking a little bit clearer. Not sure if you can see it on the screen, but when you get the slides, you'll be able to look a little closer. At the top, it does say Google, but the no reply is not from a Google address. Now, also, once I scrolled over the top of the take action link, it was also going to that non-Google address to take action. So it was very clear to me, that someone was trying to phish me, someone was trying to get my credentials. So these things are very real. This is not a, hey, this may happen to you at some point. Like, this is going to happen to you and other people in your organization, and being ready and educated of how to know what they are is extremely important. So the second story is a little bit more, was certainly a bigger issue. So this was a CPA firm, went through an M&A transaction, and one firm acquired the other. Now, it was very interesting because if anybody here has ever been through an acquisition in CPA firms, it normally is you never do it during tax season. Well, this acquisition was at the beginning of tax season. It was in January. So that was crazy enough. But what they decided to do was, hey, since it's during tax season, let's keep everything separate. We're going to keep one company was using CCH, one company was using Thomson Reuters products. So it was really easy for them to keep operations separate until after tax season. Even into their agreement, it was written that the other IT company was going to keep managing their software and do support until we were able to merge stuff after tax season. Now, with that, what happened was 2 weeks in, the new firm, which was still on their old software, their old hardware, was hit with ransomware. So what that meant is they could not access any files or applications. Everything was encrypted, and they were asking for a ransom to be able to get back into those files, right? That was every file that they had, every PDF, every tax return, every document, every image was ransomware that was on that server. Now, also, it so happened that the old IT had no backups. They had no backups, and their operating system they were using was old. there was no more Windows updates for it, so there was no way that it could be patched. So it was an absolute horrible situation, certainly one that could have been prevented. Obviously, the situation, that IT firm was terminated immediately. We then took over. We helped hire a firm that focuses on getting out of the ransomware. They know how to deal with those remote actors. And we had the unfortunate situation of having to learn all that stuff. You know, a managed IT service provider is going to help you prevent those things, but it's forensic IT companies will help you get out from it, and it's a whole nother thing. But what happened after that? The outgoing owner, right? They just sold their company. That sale was based on future payment from clients, but they had to pay 150K plus for ransom. There was no backup. They had to get the data. They had no option other than paying that ransom. They also had to pay 50K per month for this other firm that was doing all the forensics, um, talking to the remote actors, doing all that to get the files back, right? This was the firm that was hacked had, I think it was 8 to 9 employees. Like, this wasn't a big firm. This wasn't a big company. Again, this can happen to anybody if you don't have the right tools in place. The biggest thing that I learned from it, unfortunately, was not just the business side of it. So the outgoing owners was a husband and wife, great couple, but to see how that affected them personally. They obviously both lived at a house here in Houston together, but they also had a house down in Galveston. During that event, they had to live in different houses because how painful it was. Every second, all you can think was, what should we have done? How do we get back out of this? What do we do from here? All those things, if you've ever been in any kind of tragedy, you're thinking about those things all the time. And as much as you may love your spouse, all of a sudden, and if they're your business partner also, all of a sudden it's a point of contention to talk through all those things. So they had to split up during that time just so they could make it through, right? To see the personal effects of that, yes, the $150,000 hurt. Yes, not having that data for a lot of time hurt. But seeing the how it affected them personally was the hardest thing that I had to see, right? And certainly that I want to make sure that I like to educate, hey, this is, again, more than just an IT issue, that is more than just a business issue of being ready and making sure it's not impacting your life. So with that, I normally ask the question, right? Kind of bringing it up, and I talked about it a little bit at the beginning. What is the cost of being down? You know, whether it's your internet's down, your servers are down, if you're a key person at your firm, if your computer wasn't working, what is that cost? Now, it's one thing if your computer went out and being out a half a day, most companies, most people can be fine with that. Now, not during tax season, right? That makes it a little bit harder, right? Your billable hours amount are so much higher then, and it's important for you to keep working, right? But just as in this ransomware situation, if this situation happened, what would be the cost to your business if you were offline for days, weeks, or months, right? This ransomware situation, they were away from their data and didn't have access to their data for 4 months. So not only did they have to tell their clients, hey, this happened, your information may have been included in a in a breach. Now they had sold their business, so it impacted what the money that they were going to be able to get for selling their business because it was based on future revenue. So just really think, when you think of, hey, what does it cost me to get the right IT tools in place and the right prevention tools? It's not just the cost of those tools. Think of the risk that you're reducing, and making sure that you are up and working all the time like y'all like to be. So quickly, I want to move into, I certainly love sharing real life stories and going through and educating, but I also want to make sure, let's say that you have everything in place. I just want to give you 5 quick wins that you can check with your current firm and your IT provider of, are we doing these things? And these are going to make a huge difference in your firm, in your overall cybersecurity hygiene. Number one of the easiest, I think it's a common thing. You want to have multi-factor authentication, MFA, on everything you can. Certainly on all your emails, any kind of VPN connection, financial logins. You want to have where not only do you have user password, but there's also some other kind of, whether it is going to an authentication app, whether it's texting you, doing some kind of voice call, any of those other kind of multi-factor authentication. Make sure everybody in your org has those in place. A lot of times, people will focus on primary contacts, partners, CPAs. Make sure everybody in your firm has the MFA set up properly across the board. Number two, email and website filtering. Even without these tools, as you saw, I have email filtering on my systems. An email still came in to my system yesterday, that one's from Google, right? Email and website filtering is going to catch 95 to 97% of those spam things. Also, or those phishing emails. Also, if then somebody clicks on it, the website filtering can further try to block it, try to keep where those sites can't even come up. Third thing is a password manager. So the number of companies that I still know that have passwords in spreadsheets or passwords in your browser, in Chrome, Edge, whatever your browser is, or unencrypted in general. What's even worse is when it is a financial services company and it is in a spreadsheet. Unfortunately, that password spreadsheet is normally called passwords, right? If we can find it, if we can get into it, then those remote actors will be able to also, right? So make sure you have a password manager. There's a couple of different options out there. Managed IT providers like us have it a part of our default package. Very easy to get installed. Keeping your systems updated. So this is just a reminder time. Windows 10, hopefully everybody, you have no systems on your network anymore that has Windows 10. That was end of life. I think October 14th. I know it was October last month. But that means there's no more Windows updates happening to Windows 10 devices. You certainly do not want to have those devices on your network because that's going to make them more susceptible. Microsoft is no longer doing patches, no longer doing updates for those. Please do not get caught just because updating a system is 500, 600, 800 bucks. It can, again, as we walk through with the ransomware situation, it can cost you much, much more. The third thing, one of the most fun things that we enjoy talking to clients about is the cybersecurity awareness training. We even so for us internally, the tool we use, it is once a month. It's 8 to 10 minutes. It's kind of a video with some questions, but it's making sure your staff are aware, everybody in your firm is aware of what are the latest and greatest things we need to watch out for. Whether it is email scams, whether it is these texts that we start getting of, oh, hey, your toll road bill is past due, you need to pay this. It does a lot of those education to be able to make sure everybody knows what to do. Even the simple things of, if you're going to walk away from your computer, don't forget to lock it, right? Even from a cybersecurity perspective, if there's somebody in the firm that doesn't need access to stuff that you have, you need to keep that stuff secured. The other thing that we have fun with cybersecurity training, we like to gamify it, right? Some people are like, oh man, I have to do this every month. It's kind of that 8 to 10 minutes seems like a long time, but we have fun with it, right? So our clients that if they have 20 employees, um, at their monthly meetings, they will give away a gift card, and the more people that are in it, the higher that gift card is. And then they do a drawing only for the people that did complete it. So it's a really simple, really easy way to get everybody in tune with it, everybody doing it, and caring about other people doing it also, right? So again, there's a lot of different ways you can gamify, have fun with it. But the impact that cybersecurity awareness training is going to make on your business is huge. Now, these 5 CPA wins are very equivalent to questions that you're asking your clients, right? If you have a client that you walked in, they reached out to you, and they didn't understand the importance of reconciling their bank accounts every month or their credit card statements, right? If they didn't have comparative income and COGS accounts, right? They had their income accounts broken down, their revenue, but their COGS were going into one spot. You're gonna educate them on those things and make sure they have that done properly, right? If they didn't understand what EBITDA was, and they especially if they were a CEO or leadership and they didn't know what EBITDA was, that would be a problem. Their business isn't going to grow if they don't understand those numbers, right? The difference of a balance sheet and P&L, if they don't know these kind of things, right? That's the quick wins that you give them. So these are the equivalent things for y'all to be able to take from a cybersecurity perspective back to your firms to make sure that y'all are doing the latest and greatest and are doing the things that you need to do that are really not that hard. All of these things, if you were ever working with a managed service provider, this should be part of the onboarding, making sure that all these tools are in place, and if not, providing solutions for those. Like I said, we are going to email out a self-assessment. I'll kind of show that on there. As we get close to our Q&A time here in a few minutes, I do like to put a question out there, and feel free to put this in the chat, and I'll look at this in just a minute. And if there's any bigger issues, we can certainly help you dig through those. But if your server or network went down on April 10th, how confident are you that you'd recover in under 4 hours, right? How confident are you that whether it's your IT team externally, internally, somebody at your firm, depending the size of your firm, that you would be able to get files back from a back up and going, move to another location, whatever the incident was that why you're down, that you'd be able to go. If you could put an A, if you're 100% confident that everything would be great, and your provider even has a guarantee part of their agreement with you. B, you think, oh, hey, yeah, we'll be fine. And this is kind of an A to F, right? Grading yourself. C, oh, I'm kind of confident. I think you can see the uncomfortableness there. D, that, oh, you know what? I do have a concern. I am concerned about it. Or F, man, Matt, you have gone through this stuff and now I already know we're in trouble. Certainly let us know that. We would love to walk through, even if it's just educating with you and what you need to watch for. We have clients that are 5 users. We have clients that are 150 users. We have the ability to answer the questions depending on what size your business is, but we certainly want you to be prepared and not be down for longer than you have to. So this is a copy of the self-assessment that Nicole will send out to you afterwards. Don't feel like you need to screenshot this. I know that print's going to be really small. That will come after, right? But even some of the stuff on here I have really focused on CPA firms, right? your publication 4557, which talks about safeguarding taxpayer data, right? The FTC safeguard rules that they just recently updated, right? Having your WISP, right? Your written information security plan, making sure all that stuff is in place to make sure that you are asking yourself the right questions, easy, hard, whatever, that you are aware and are doing what you need to so your company is safe, so you'll be able to continue to work, continue to flourish, continue to grow your organization. Now, I hope that through this, I know this is been a lot of content, kind of quick. You will get these slides. There will be opportunities for us to follow up, and if there is something more with your company in particular. But if there is one takeaway that we take from today's webinar, it is the cybersecurity is a company issue. It is not just an IT issue. That's the reason for that cybersecurity awareness training, right? For you to be able to make sure that everybody in your organization is aware of what they need to watch for, how it's going to impact them, how it's going to impact the organization. It is obviously why I put it in quotes here, why it is so important that cybersecurity is not just an IT issue. As we get closer to wrapping this up a little bit and get into Q&A, I did want to give a reminder. I will be, and All in IT will be at the Texas CPA conference in 2 weeks. I will be presenting on the 20th at 7 a.m. Would love to meet anybody there. Would love to answer any questions there. After the Q&A, I'm also going to pop up a screen that will have a QR code for my LinkedIn and would love to connect with y'all there. There is a lot of content that we put on my LinkedIn, on the company LinkedIn, that has education tools as well. Let me take maybe a little drink of water and see if I can open up my chat to see if there's any other conversations, or if Nicole, if you saw anything out there stuff that I can answer for anybody.
Thank you so much, Matt. I greatly appreciate it, and greatly appreciate everyone too answering that last polling question that's up on the screen there. As far as questions here in chat, I didn't see any throughout the session, so if folks want to go ahead and drop questions in chat, we can have that time to take a look at those now. Or I guess if it's easier to come off mute, Matt, if you don't mind, we could always keep it more conversational that way.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Much easier to do it in conversations sometimes than text.
So feel free, if you'd like to come off mute and back on camera, feel free to do so.
I do love the polling questions you had in there too. That's pretty neat. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's nice to see those real-time results too. Oh, perfect. We got 100% there. So thank you, everybody.
I certainly hope that there was some nuggets here that everybody can use, everybody can learn, even if it's just a confirmation that you are dotting your I's and crossing your T's. Cybersecurity, especially with, I mean, if we would have added AI into this conversation, it would have been another hour and a half or so, because AI is changing cybersecurity even more. And we'll talk about that a little bit more at the conference when I speak. But it really is, there is, much like your business, there's constant change in tax code and tax law, and there's constant change in cybersecurity and what you need to be aware of and how to prevent it, right? I think did I see a question pop up there?
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Jean, for asking. The question we have here is, what service would you recommend for staff cyber training? Is there a program for this?
So there is a few applications. We partner with a company called Huntress. They purchased it was Curricula before, but The key for us is because we are the IT team for our clients. So we are kind of managing that data and helping make sure that they get the data, that they stay on top of it, right? There is tools if you're just an internal team. I will be glad to look up some stuff that's not through a managed service provider. The stuff that I'm going to know is at the provider level. There is lots, and I mean, almost every security tool that's out there nowadays. Symantec has one, is another brand name that's out there. But we like the Huntress one. Huntress works really, really well. There's also a Know Before is one that I've heard out there a lot that people use. So depending on your size of firm, it's also right, the cybersecurity awareness, that training, some people are still wanting for somebody to come to your office and do it once a quarter. Doing it monthly is much better because things are changing too frequently, right? And again, when it's 8 to 10 minutes and it's kind of fun, it is such an easy way to do it, and you get more content. I mean, anybody knows those quarterly meetings with business meetings with all staff, there's so much content in that anyway. You don't want to miss something important like cybersecurity awareness. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jean, for the question.
Absolutely.
Jean has another question. Thank you very much. Jean asks, why has AI increased the frequency of ransomware?
I think it has increased the frequency because they can make it look more real, right? So we have also had, so it originally on some of those phishing campaigns, we used to say, hey, call somebody and talk to them and make sure this is a real thing before you update ACH. I actually had one of my peer group members in Utah, a client of his had somebody that had AI voice. Somebody had copied the owner's voice with AI, and so even the phone call option didn't work, right? So there's going to continue to be, I mean, and I'm sure that y'all have seen how now even video, they can do, the AI of video and copying people that way. So it's only going to get harder, right? So, which again, your business is like mine. It relies on personal connection and taking care of people. That's what we really need to remember to always stay true to, is taking care of people, meeting with them personally. AI can never get in the middle of a handshake, right? So being able to see somebody, I know the more clients we all get, that's harder to do, but finding a way. I've also heard of people almost having similar to a safe word of being able to, hey, if we ever make a bigger change, you're going to hear us talk about this, or reference something that you talked about the last time y'all met in person, right? Just do something that's smart to make sure that it's not AI. But AI, like anything else, right, is going to make certain processes more efficient and easier to do. It's those simple things, right? AI can never do something like creating something new, right? AI is looking in databases, looking in what's been done before and pulling that out faster than we could generally, but it can't create something new. Hope that helped.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jean, as well.
Absolutely.
We got a little bit more time here if anyone has any final questions, but like Matt said, all these slides you'll be getting in that CPE survey and certificate email, which has all the contact you see here on the screen as well for any follow-up questions. And I hope to see if you are going to be at the conference, look forward to seeing everyone there. I can't believe it's so soon. So if you need any help with the conference, any information about that, just let me know. I'm always an email or a phone call away. Other than that, I think we've reached, I don't see any more questions. Last call if someone's mid-type. But other than that, I think we might be able to go ahead and wrap up the session then.
Awesome.
All
Thank you
righty
all
then.
very much again for attending. Thank you for letting me come on to present, and I look forward to meeting any of y'all here in a couple weeks at the conference.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much again for this really insightful dive into cybersecurity, and I look forward to seeing you in November. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. So thank you very much.
All right. Take
Thank
care.
you, everyone. Bye-bye.